Hello everyone and welcome back to the boat Hairspring. My name is Ivan and today's video is a comparison of two watches that I really enjoy having in my collection, which are the Oris Aquis and the Seiko Zimbe 12 limited edition. I know this is not the most logical comparison, but there is nothing logical about collecting watches, plus we humans are irrational by nature, so I thought it would be interesting to see how these two dive watches stack up side by side. Right off the bat, I'm telling you that the Oris is the better watch in my opinion, but I like the Seiko just as much and I'll try to explain myself throughout the video. I won't be allocating any points as I find doing so a bit silly. Instead, I'll be sharing my thoughts about different aspects of both watches when compared to each other, and hopefully you'll be able to draw your own conclusions. So the Aquis has been with me for almost 3 years and it was the first time I ever paid more than €1,000 for a watch. The Seiko, on the other hand, is one of my most recent acquisitions, as I've had it for about 3 months, maybe even a bit less than that, but so far it's been a lot of fun to wear. Alright guys, the first thing I would like to mention very briefly is heritage and brand recognition, and here I'll just say that for me both are equal in that regard, but others may disagree because Seiko was founded some 23 years before Oris, and also because pretty much everyone has heard of Seiko, whereas Oris is an independent watchmaker which is mostly known by watch enthusiasts. But if you're not familiar with Oris history, I really recommend you go to their website and check it out because it's honestly quite an interesting read. Now these have some things in common. Obviously both are dive watches and both are water resistant to 300 meters. When it comes to the dimensions, they are also very similar. The case diameter of the Aquis is 43.5 millimeters, while the Seiko is 44 millimeters wide. However, on the wrist, both watches were completely different due to one main reason: the bracelet. The Oris, in addition to its shorter lug-to-lug of 50 millimeters, it has an integrated bracelet design. It's one of the best and most comfortable bracelets I have ever tried. It is much better than Seiko's bracelet by a huge margin. It feels very well built and it's very nicely machined. The clasp is also great, milled out with proper diver's extension, and it kind of looks like a smaller Omega C Master clasp. What else can I tell you here, guys? It's just the overall quality of the bracelet is very high. Not to mention that it looks chunky, aggressive and elegant at the same time, which really adds to the wrist presence of the watch. And as you can see here on my 17 centimeters or 6.7 inch wrist, this 43mm Aquis looks pretty good. Now if we have a closer look at the finishing of the case and the bracelet of both watches, we would see that the Oris is better. Its brushing is simply better executed. The Seiko's bracelet, on the other hand, is fine, but it's not as refined as the Oris. It doesn't feel as solid and as well built. However, by Seiko standards, it's an improvement, and on the plus side it can be easily removed and replaced with something else, such as a strap code. In my case, I don't feel the need to do so, as it's good enough. The clasp, as I said in the full review, is nothing special, but it gets the job done. The biggest negative perhaps is that the end links stick out, which added to the 51mm lug-to-lug distance might be a problem for those who have smaller wrists than mine. Here is a wrist shot of the watch on my 17 centimeters wrist. I think it looks awesome, but although not uncomfortable, it doesn't come anywhere near the level of comfort that the Oris provides. Next, let's talk about the case design. Oris has a rounder case with a very interesting and unique kettle-shaped profile, which together with the integrated bracelet make the watch very wearable. The Zimbe has a cushion case design that, thanks to the high polished bezels, it also looks and wears smaller than what its 44mm case diameter would suggest. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that these are big watches that people with smaller wrists can easily pull off. Then design-wise, the Oris is a bit more elegant and premium looking due to its blue dial, the ceramic bezel insert, and also due to the polished bracelet outer links. In my opinion, it's more versatile than the Seiko, but I have to admit that I wear both with formal attire as well as sportswear. You know, I like to say that it doesn't matter how versatile something is, but how versatile you can make it, and at the end it all comes down to one's personal preferences. Anyway, I really like the green color of the Zimbe dial and the green aluminum bezel insert as well. The dial looks matte finished most of the time, but when light hits it directly, it becomes more vibrant and you can see that sunburst effect. The Oris looks dark and even black most of the time, but expose it to a direct source of light, such as the mighty sun in Spain, and it will come to life as it also has a sunburst dial. Both dials are beautiful, printing is sharp on both, and both sit behind AR-coated sapphire crystals. And when it comes to the Lume, you can't go wrong with any of these two. Oris uses Super Luminova BGW9, which has a very nice blue color, while Seiko's Lume Bright is green. Both last for a long time, but honestly the initial glow of Seiko is quite impressive. Moving on, let's talk about the bezels. 120 click bezels on both, but the action on the Oris is significantly better. It's more audible and more clicky as well. It's also easier to turn. The one on the Seiko has a beautiful coin edge design, but the action is mediocre. It feels spongy and the clicks are not very well defined. You know, a typical Seiko bezel action. However, it's not the bezel of the Seiko, but its movement that I'm most disappointed with. Inside the Zimbe limited edition, Seiko has put the 6R15, which is the same as in my SARP 017 Alpinist. Surprisingly, in my Alpinist this very same movement performs well, but in this Seiko it's been very inconsistent and occasionally losing up to 30-40 seconds per night. It does that only when the watch is unworn, and the quick search in forums shows that this is common behavior for this movement. In contrast, the Sellita SW200 in my Aquis has been fantastic, running at plus 7 seconds per day, or even better. It's also 4 Hz movement, meaning that it beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour, opposed to the 21,600 of the 6R15. And although I've never had any problems with the base grade Sellita in my Oris, I wish it was a higher grade. For example, Zin watches are similarly priced and most models, if not all, have top grade Sellita movements. And finally, let's talk about the price and availability. The Oris has an MSRP of €1,950, but it can be easily found for 1,500, which makes it one of the best dive watches under €2,000 in my opinion. Then this Zimbe 12 retailed for about €1,200, but I got it for 760 shortly after it was released in Thailand. Now it's very rare and it goes for more than that, but the black dial non-limited edition model, for example, can be found for €900, which is not a bad price at all, and of course there is also the option of buying used. That being said, if I had to pick just one, that would be the Oris Aquis, because of its unique design, better finishing, more comfortable and better built bracelet, plus its Sellita SW200 is the more reliable movement out of the two. Luckily I get to keep both watches, guys, and despite the 6R15 being a bit of a letdown, this Zimbe 12 is a very cool, rare and fun piece to own. In fact, the only reason why I may decide to sell the Zimbe in the future would be to fund the marinemaster, but I haven't made my mind yet. So let me know what you think about both watches in the comments below. Also tell me what you think, guys, about Oris and Seiko as brands and their placement in the market as of right now. I'm especially interested in your opinion of Seiko desperately trying to move up market. So yeah, let's have a discussion in the comment section. Thank you very much for staying until the end. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and of course subscribe if you haven't. That would be very much appreciated. Take care everyone, I'll see you in the next one.